the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. Now we're talking about the SPY, Qs, everything in between. But when we talk about the stock market in general, before we go into equities and what we want to trade and how we want to attack them from a day trader perspective, you got to start with what? We got to start with the indexes. So when we jump in here, again, it's really important that we look at the higher time frames and then slowly inch down. The daily clearly breaking out of the bull flag here, major cup and handle formed on Nasdaq. We have a lot of people in denial. And as we move in a little bit deeper, you can see that we're kind of playing this trend out. We're trying to break above some key levels. Now, the one we've been watching is 15.9 into like 16K. And today that level was kind of destroyed, right? And what I want to highlight too is how we're kind of moving here. If you go back, very similar movement. Remember 15.4, very major. I would say 15.4 was the level. We talked about it. After you break 15.4, it's all just uphill from there, easy or downhill, sorry, very easy movement. And so we had that consolidation at that level, rejected, and eventually broke through, mounting, and now we're pushing up. Now here, what happens today? You consolidate there for the past 2-3 days, since basically Wednesday of last week to today. You break above, you mount, and that's kind of where we're at. You go into ES though, and I think ES, the S&P specifically, did a lot of the heavy lifting today. Again, a lot of consolidation. We broke out, very beautiful. I mean, this was even like easier to see, really, if you look. This consolidation here, and then look, you kind of get above this area here. You break out, come down, retest, and then eventually just push up. Like, that's perfect movement, right? Now here, posted this in Discord, posted this on Twitter. If you're not following on Twitter, I recommend you do so. It was right here 8 hours ago, literally like at market open, 15 minutes at market open, right? Clear ascending triangle at resistance, that 45-35 level. You touched it 4 times basically since last week. Hit it, you break above it, you mount, easy going, right? Now again, if you're watching SPY, trying to track there, it was that basically that 451 level, 451, 451.5. That was the level there. And so we're breaking up now. Now, I'm going to go into equities, what I like, what's happening here. But I'm going to tell you, you're looking good. ES in particular, your next target here, what to be looking for. I'm looking just dead right back at highs. That's all I want to see. Get back into highs that we had back in July, the summer. That's what we're looking at. Nasdaq, it's a little bit easier than that because you're already above, you're basically above those highs. If you go look at Qs, you've already made new 52-week highs in the year. You're pushing up, you look great. And it looks like the trend wants to continue to go here. Okay, so I have a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. But before we go into that, I have to ask you 2 things. Consider liking and subscribing. It helps out tons. I appreciate all love and support here on the channel. Also, too, if you want to just jump right into the stocks that I'm liking, stocks and equities that I want to start trading, fast forward to the end of the video. I'm going to tell you that might get a lot of this out of the way. But I'm going to tell you this middle stuff helps you understand why we like those trades and what sets up the entry opportunity into those. So I think there's a bit of the puzzle that might be missing, but just know that. Also, too, the Discord link down below. It is completely full right now. We will be having our Black Friday sale most likely around Thursday or Friday. So make sure you're staying tuned for that. We'll probably have some giveaways also on Instagram going into December. So make sure you follow on Instagram. But that's what I'm going to talk about right now. Also, too, again, you're always seeing these indicators, these levels on our chart. As you can see here, you zoom in, right? You always see our sell indicator down here. It's showing you volume, buyers versus sellers, our massive key levels that are being broken here. You go to NQ, another massive level that was established like on the 2 hour. You can see everything, where everything was, how it's been, where we're breaking above, a lot of those indicators. This is Chart Prime. The link is down below. Just to let you know, they have a huge sale going on for Black Friday, so make sure you tap in. You also get an additional 30% off with our link down below, so make sure you check that out. Now, we're going to go back into these equities, what we're looking at, and ultimately where we're going. So, a few things, big indicators I'm looking for. Number 1, the dollar. I also posted this on Twitter, right? The DXY, this was before market open. Continued weakness, this could get really crazy, right? What happens? The 200 SMA, we reject the key level and we just push straight down. DXY breaking below 200 SMA. Go to the daily. The last time this happened, we saw some pretty gnarly downside on the dollar from that. Back, into 2022, early 2023. Massive downside there. Okay, so we need to be watching the action on this on the next few days. Okay, and this is aligning really well to the end of the years. A little bit further, IWM. Now, IWM, I don't want people to cling on to things, but there's a few things that you have to mention here. Number 1, you had your little head and shoulders kind of playing out here, right? You can kind of see it's a little bit ugly. It is a little ugly, but I will say it's still playing out. And where you found support has me more excited. So really quick, shoulder, neckline right here. Your neckline right here is very interesting. This is why I want to talk about it. You're bouncing on support, previous high there. Very important. You also have the 200 SMA creeping in right here, 181 basically flat. It'll probably drop down a little bit more tomorrow. Okay. Every time this level has broke, every time we've mounted this level, you have gotten very big moves on the Nasdaq and the ES, right? Going back to when you lost this level back here in 2022, it really signaled risk off entirely. Okay. So right now, I want you to be watching this. If you break over 181 on IWM, the Russell, the small caps, right? I want you to be prepared for an all-time high run coming for Nasdaq, specifically Nasdaq. Okay. Be prepared, be ready. That's kind of your go sign, right? Now, going into tomorrow as well, NVIDIA earnings, right? This is Options AI. This is the only broker that we're going to talk about that we're focused on here on the channel. Make sure if you're interested in them, check them out down below as well. The commission free for your first month, I believe, when you use our sign up code down below. But right now, their earnings expected move 6.5%. You are at basically all-time highs right now on NVIDIA. Okay, important to understand this. You are moving strong. Okay, understand what's happening here. We talked about this prior to NVIDIA earnings. You were going to get the run into all-time highs into their earnings, and you're getting it right now. In comparison, some of these other names, AVGO, you're hitting $1,000 right now, basically on this. AMD, 122, basically hitting as well. LRCX, some of these manufacturers, back at highs again, 720. Okay, we talked about a lot of these names. So I want to highlight, if you get the other sign, IWM mounting as well, fireworks, 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 fireworks. Okay, so that's the main bullet points here. The dollar, a lot of weakness. We need, if you look to see more continued downside, again, I think you're going to break that level as well in the bonds and yields happening here. I think yields will drop back below 2022 highs, the 10 and the 30. That's what you're looking for there, and that, in my opinion, would stimulate the economy. Also, specifically, the housing market would be doing backflips for that. Oil's retesting the 200 SMA as well. Be watching that. And before I go any further, giving you an idea on oil, and this was something that I've been trying to cover in the live streams. The last CPI reading was awesome, right? The last CPI, PPI, PC, they were all really good. But I'm telling you right now, that CPI reading only accounted for this action right here, if that, okay? From basically September into October. It did not account for anything that's taken place here in November, okay? And November is wild. So November, we saw the barrel get decimated. So at the bare minimum, going into this next CPI reading, you're going to get this action here of oil getting destroyed. And we've all seen energy prices dropping across the board now, right? On top of that, housing prices also easing. I'm not talking about buying a home. I'm talking specifically rents. Those are all areas that are going to benefit the inflation readings, which aligns as well with the end of the year rally, which is currently kind of taking place. So things you're looking at, and VIX is pushing back into those lows. This is exactly what you want to see. Healthy movement, exactly what we want. It's all tying in together perfect. So we're going to go into equities that we're liking, stocks that we want to trade, stocks that we're looking for, right? So again, tomorrow we have NVIDIA. We have, all these semiconductors are going to get a lot of love, going to get pretty big impact. If you've been following here, again, AMD, I love it. Above 122, I think you have room to fly. Above 122, AMD could pop off like crazy. It could break back into 52-week highs. And I would 100% expect that. If you mount 122, I'm thinking you push back into 52-week highs. Okay, I can go down a laundry list, but I don't want to talk about semis right now, right? Because semis, either you got in and you're running happy or you missed the boat. That's the story there, okay? But what I do want to talk about is the area that I think we're going to see get a little bit of love, okay? Number one, we talked about CRM. They have earnings next week. Congratulations. First of all, if you traded CRM or got into these, the first time we mentioned them, it was down here at 210, 212. We're currently up almost $13, $14 there. So you're absolutely destroying. You're ripping up. You're breaking that bull flag. You're breaking out awesome. Bounce off the 200. Perfect action. Perfect trade. Congratulations. Okay. But CRM might I kind of might have missed the boat here. I'm also looking at CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is probably a better looking chart than CRM. You've only made higher highs and higher lows all year long. But now you're mounting this level right here, 205, 206. Okay, giving you a little bit of a visual right here. This one right here. Your next level is like 213, 214. Today's candle wasn't all that incredible. If we look at this, it's not fireworks, nothing crazy. But I'm going to tell you, I am excited about it. I love the mount that you got here. You can see all these buyers stepping in here as well when you pull up chart prime. You also can see sellers try to push you down today. It was primarily selling volume. One of the few days we've had any type of selling volume on CrowdStrike also. Okay, so these are things that I like to see. Resilience from sellers, right? You're pushing down sellers, trying to push you down, but buyers hold you up time and time again. That's what you want to see. So CrowdStrike, I think it's an opportunity. And I think this thing has room into 213. And if earnings go really well next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, fireworks again on this area here, right? So CrowdStrike again, CRM, I've already gone over it so much. CrowdStrike, I want to show some opportunities I'm looking at. Again, I'd be looking for most likely June, but January as well. January are riskier contracts. If you're trying to day trade this into earnings, then you want to go January, right? But you had the mindset that you don't want to hold through earnings. If you get the move up into earnings and you want to hold through, I think you roll out. Okay, that's how I would attack this. I'm not going to go into a whole education about that, but do what you want with that information. So for myself personally, what do I like? Actually, I actually bought some of these to day trade today or just kind of swing trade. Let me make sure I can pull up the right ones I bought. Yeah, the 220s. So I went 220s right about here. You're going to get a better deal than me. I ended up buying some more as we dipped, but I still love them, right? These 220s, I absolutely love them. They look great. Big fan, love them. Dated, holding through. It's a little bit tougher because your volume is so abysmal, right? So you got to find something that really works for you and you find volume that's happening there, right? So that's the difficulty here. That's a difficulty because you want to find someone with decent open interest and decent volume. So in my opinion, you have to go 230s right here, or you just play at the money strikes here. It's up to you. Do what you want. I don't care. Just feeding you, trying to show you exactly what's going on in my head as well here. Okay. Next up, Amazon. Guys, you're going to hear me say a lot of this, and I only talk about names that I'm trading. So I don't ever want to sound misleading. So these aren't stocks that I'm actively looking at trading, mentioning in Discord, mentioning on Twitter that I'm not going to lie to anybody, right? So that's what I'm looking at there. So Amazon, again, probably one of my favorite charts. Post this on Twitter, so it's also there. You can go check it out. It's right here, so you can go check it out. Amazon's a beast, simply put. You have pretty declining volume at these highs. Sellers trying to push you down and can do absolutely nothing. That's number one. You go to the daily chart. Maybe one of the best examples of a cup and handle on a daily time frame here. Absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous. Don't know what else to say. Literally handle, beautiful. Beautiful. You break above and hold above 146.5, which you tested today multiple times. That is your big sign, right? And you can see chart prime showing us where sellers are trying to step in here. I think Amazon, with the dip that we had here, was ridiculous. It was a gross overreaction from Walmart, in my opinion, and PPI. Amazon's very strong. They're attacking on cloud. They're attacking on consumers. I love it. So again, watching Amazon, that's what I'd be looking for. Now for myself, again, I want to find the exact contracts that I'm trading in Discord, so you can see. And again, just to give transparency's sake, to show you where we got about Amazon 155s June 21st. They were $10.40 a pop, right? Just transparency, showing that right there. Amazon going into this really quick. Expiration, let this load, June. And again, why did I go June? Why was I looking further dated? Because I really do believe if we start to get, and these are currently at about $12 a contract right now. And again, you could have got those Amazons too a little bit cheaper than when I got them. I ended up adding more as you dipped. But again, that was the initial entry. So those are up almost 20%, give or take, moving really nice at highs, about 20%. But again, I want to highlight why on some of these I'm going further dated, like 20 or June. Right? I want to have like almost 200 days on these contracts. If I anticipate, right? If I'm able to kind of time how this works out and I'm getting great entries on these, if I can get these in the money and then moving that way, one, this is going to safely grow the account. These aren't like risky day trades. These are swing trades for me, right? Sometimes I have swings, sometimes I have days, sometimes I have scalps. I try to give you all the opportunities. But when you're able to spot breakouts like we're getting right now on the Nasdaq, and they're almost like layups for us, and you're getting great entries before you even get the breakout, you want to have time on those contracts so you can really milk the success of those contracts. So right now, it's cool. I could take a 20% profit on for example, if I would have traded a month out on these Amazons, they'd be up like 40, 50% plus already, right? But I would be forced to get out of those contracts because I only have so much time left on them. So I'm not in a position to where I can really let them run, right? Because any type of pullback's going to take all my profits. However, when I'm trading Junes, I could still get maybe a $5 pullback, and I might barely be red. So those are things that I'm taking into account because I want to make sure that I'm able to actually make what I'm want to make on those contracts and what I've been so patient for here over the past few weeks. It's also worth mentioning those contracts cost a lot more. So if I might only be buying 5 of those contracts, but 5 contracts at $1,000 a pop is $5,000, whereas 5 contracts at $100 a pop is only $500. So making 50% on a $500 contract isn't necessarily the same as making 20% on a $5,000 position. And again, the risk associated with that is far different. So hopefully you understand or you see where I'm coming from or how I'm trying to take advantage of this, right? It's not just from the mentality of, okay, let's make a quick buck tomorrow. No, I want to make compounding gains so my wins are always outweighing the losers that we're taking here, right? It's always trying to think a little bit of a step ahead or not just thinking short-term. Now, again, short-term trades are awesome, but you have to be able to know the difference with how you're attacking this market and ultimately what the market's giving to us. Now, those are my favorite plays out there right now. Okay, easily my favorite. Now, the next one is interesting, and a lot of you guys are going to be either hate it or love it. Now, Tesla, probably one of the most beautiful setups that we've seen. Now, if you've been here, you remember the inverse head and shoulders that we had down here. We made a lot of money on it. If you want to fact check me, go back on Twitter. It's all saved on Twitter, all those plays as well. And it's saved in Discord where we mentioned that as well last week. Okay, it's all in Discord as well. But what do you have here? So we had this key level 242 where you fill the gap, you went above, kind of got some trap, and then you sold off. Now, Tesla's interesting here. Now, again, if you know how I trade, know how I look at the market, when I'm looking at the market, I view it in a few ways. But number one, if futures and indexes are moving up, I generally believe most equities are going to follow them. And when I say most, I mean 99%. So when I'm looking at Tesla lagging here, it gets me excited. When I see how Tesla bounced right back at the previous highs that we had, which was that same level we couldn't break above, the 226.5 level, I get excited because buyers showed in immediately. And then I see Chart Prime showing us another level of buyers are showing up as well. And there's no real big sell levels here either, right? So all this is getting me excited. We're getting a nice base here, a clear support at 231. These are all signs that I love here, okay? So I'm getting ready for Tesla, in my opinion, to start getting a breakout. I still believe Tesla has room to the upside. I think you have room back into 250 personally. I still think you're pretty illiquid in this range. I still think you're illiquid over 238. You didn't spend any time here whatsoever. You could quickly start breaking back into this trend. Understand that. Now, I would also say, though, you have to be able to acknowledge the downside trend that you are still in. Okay, really about like right there. It goes a little bit further out, but you can kind of see how it's established there. So once you start breaking, that's why I say you still have room into 250. Once you start breaking out of 254, then you're looking for breakout territory, which will go a lot into that down the line. But again, I still like Tesla. It's still on my list. I'm watching it. I love the bounce that we had down here. You want to see it get back into like the groove with all the other equities as well, right? I like it though. It's on my list. Got to be watching it. Now, again, I've gone over a lot of these meta. Again, perfect retest we had last week. Came back now back in 440, hit 442 on the day. Again, all these things that we've mentioned, I don't really know how to go up over them anymore. I've done a lot of deep diving into these. A lot of stocks, a lot of these charts from the weekend are still on my Twitter as well. So go to media. You can scroll through all of my charts that I went over this weekend. So again, a lot of them are there. The links are down below. Have a good one, traders. The Black Friday sale will be here in about 2-3 days. So be on the lookout. Have a good one.